I was about 18 or 19 when I fell deeply into, the Vedas, and I had some brilliant teachers from, that point in my philosophical studies academically. And of course, I can't say that there were no substances involved in my life in the late 60s, as someone who experienced the 60s and actually remembers them. But Indra's net is something that, yes, came into my life back. I'm 75, back 55 years ago or so, and that, as I'm sure you know, is basically this jeweled net where every jewel on the net contains the reflection of every other jewel on the net. And here we step into a very fascinating realm, that in astrology is often referred to as the nodes or the moon's nodes. But every planet has nodes, because a node is basically, it's a Latin word, and in Latin node means not, KNOT. That's what the word node means. Now, in astrology, the lunar nodes or the moon's nodes, which are considered to be an absolute primal piece of an astrological study on anything, is the place where the moon's orbit going around the Earth intersects with the Earth's orbit going around the sun. It's like two sheets of paper intersecting, and two planes intersect in a straight line. And so this axis called the lunar nodes or the nodal axis is the point at which the hum of the moon intersects or interferes with the hum of the earth, creating a node which the Vedas call Maya, because that node is the interplay of these invisible dualistic energies of, to use the Chinese Taoist metaphor of yin and yang, whatever you want to call them. I love, there's an early Veda that's one of my favorites. It's a hymn of creation, and it's like most hymns in the Vedas, goes on for pages, but it says, in the beginning there was neither light nor darkness. There was neither up nor down. And of course, everyone goes, in the beginning, there was neither this nor that. In the beginning, there was neither male nor, it goes on for pages. In the beginning, there was neither existence nor non existence. And then it says, but who knows for sure? Only he, and I like to say he, she, but who knows for sure? Only he, she, who sits on her throne in highest heaven, only he knows for sure. Or perhaps he does not. I love it. Okay, but the thing about nodes is that if I clap my hands and make a sound, or if I take a hammer and hit someone over the head, I'm not recommending that you do that, please. But what's happening is that there is no physicality to the hammer. It's illusion. The apparent physicality of a hammer perceived by our touch or our skin is basically perceiving the nodes of high frequency atomic cycling that are cycling at hundreds of trillions of cycles a second. And so, just like the moon going around the earth once a moon, and the earth going around the sun once a year, just like they create a node, there are nodes created as the entire universe is blinking on and off at hundreds of actually, it's really more like trillions of cycles a second. We have no way of measuring it. It's so fast. And yet what appears to be solid, my desk and the wobble of the camera because I'm hitting the desk, if that was being hit by a cosmic wave, a cosmic ray, that ray would be so high frequency, it wouldn't even know there was a solid. In fact, cosmic rays pass through Earth without even slowing down or blipping. They don't know that solidness is an illusion. And that illusion is based upon harmonies or vibrations tying themselves into knots, which is just an English word for node. And so the nodes on Indra's net become incredibly important. And here's one other thing from the beginning of when computers became a thing, and I was an early early into computers. In fact, one of my weird claims to, well, not fame, but something, is that I managed the first retail store in the world that sold software without selling hardware. People would come in and say, this is 1982. They would come in and say, I just bought a computer, and they say, I need to come here to buy software. What is it? And I'd show them something and say, it's this $500. And they go, I'm paying $500 for this little disc that I don't even know what it is, but the point is, which is incidentally another example of how physical is becoming metaphysical. The wealthiest people on the planet used to be in Saturnian realms. They owned real estate. By the way, estate has that Saturn in it, but real estate was property. Now the wealthiest people in the world own vibrations. They own operating systems, which are just frequency vibrations, and they're operating at billions of cycles a second, gigahertz. A hertz is just one cycle a second. And so the wealthiest people own portions of the electromagnetic spectrum that they rented or leased from governments that allow them to own the 23.5 gigabyte spectrum that then they use to make cell phones or 5G or whatever. But you can see all of these are part of that vibration of from physical to non-physical dimension. So nodes are absolutely important because they create the interplay of the apparent jewels on Indra's net and the apparent nodes on a network. And one of the basic primary concepts of networks going back to the late 70s, early 80s was the power of the network is derived only by the number of nodes on the network. If you're on a network of 1, there's no power. If you're on a network of 3, well, that's a very self-reflective bubble network. But if you're on a network that has Wikipedia and Google and AI and whatever, it's not infinite, but it feels like it is. And now we're getting to the real meaning of why nodes and Indra's net are so important, that we all have technological access through these high frequency circuits that were based upon mathematical analysis of what happens when I beat this frequency against that. And then I take out only this frequency, and then I hold it here until it builds a certain charge. We call that a capacitor. It blows the charge, and all this stuff makes this. It makes Zoom. How the hell does this happen? Well, it's because nodes. And not only that, we have individual connections to the nodes. My 100,000 or so people that watch my my YouTube videos, or your people that tune into, this is your node, but all of those people are on nodes also that they interface with. And so it's almost like, I think it was Schopenhauer who said that everybody's dreaming, and everyone who's a character in my dream is also a dream in which I'm a character in with all of my dreams.
Hey there, Inspired Evolutionary. If you absolutely loved this, well then here's a full conversation with this guest on the Inspired Evolution podcast. Check it out now.